What if it happens again? I killed someone.
You need help! Help! I need help! Anyone see anything?
Hiding every night from those things. That's one thing. This is something that people are gonna have to blame someone for.
I feel like something wants me to go in here. We can go in together if you want. Ready?
What is up, From fans? Jeremy Eisenfire here, and welcome to the channel. With episode 7 coming to a close, we now take a look at the final 3 episodes in season 3. And based on the conclusion of episode 7, it looks like we could potentially have a pretty big internal skirmish heading to the town of Fromville in regards to handling the tragic death of Tilly. Not only concerning Boyd and Acosta, who I imagine are going to have 2 very different approaches on how to handle this, but also potentially between Boyd and Donna as well, especially with Donna making her stance pretty clear in episode 7 how, as much as she wants to help Fatima and Ellis, she has the entirety of Colony House to worry about and can't risk another incident like Abby. And taking a look at the episode 8 trailer, it's looking like storylines are beginning to converge into one, as we start off with Fatima and Ellis seemingly in the same shack that Boyd brought Sarah at the end of season 1, just out in the woods, and it seems like maybe they are potentially hiding here to keep her safe from the rest of the town, which could potentially indicate that the entire town might just have found out that it was Fatima who did this, as she continues to worry that whatever is inside her is still there, and fears having another incident like this. And speaking of storylines converging, it's looking like Fatima isn't going to remain in the shack for very long, as we also see in the episode 8 stills, one picture of her completely gone from the shack as it looks like Ellis and Boyd are searching for her, followed by some of these other stills that show Elgin bringing Fatima down into the root cellar. And based on the size of the bags they have with them, it almost seems like they're planning an extended stay. Which of course begs the question, just why exactly is he bringing her down there, and what does the kimono creature want with Fatima? Did the kimono creature potentially fill Elgin in on the danger that Fatima is going to pose to the rest of the town, and he is taking defensive measures to lock her up to keep everybody safe? Or does the kimono creature have plans that are a little bit more nefarious than that, like potentially using Fatima to achieve her own end? Which at this point could still be anything, as we really don't know what this kimono creature wants, or if her intentions are altruistic, or a little bit more on the darker side. Is Fatima at risk of being taken over by this kimono creature? Does she potentially want to use Fatima as some new kind of vessel to achieve human form? Or could she really potentially be trying to help Fatima and maybe even want to cure her? I suppose time will ultimately tell if this kimono creature really is truly trying to help, or if she just means to cause more harm. But next, the trailer continues with Boyd, Donna, Kenny, and Acosta arriving at the greenhouse to discover Tilly's dead body, after a Colony House member seems to stumble upon it at random, which tells us that Fatima and Ellis flee the scene of the murder after it happens, and we did hear Tilly, in her dying breath, tell Fatima to do exactly that, as she tells her to run just before succumbing to her injury. Even in death, Tilly is still trying to protect Fatima. As we hear Boyd asking if anyone had seen anything. And based on some of the recent events, with Ellis and Fatima finally coming clean to Boyd about what she was going through, I would be very surprised if it didn't at least occur to Boyd that Fatima could be a potential suspect here. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Donna herself was suspecting a little bit of Fatima here as well, as Donna was already fearing Fatima potentially becoming another Abby. And here we see Donna stating that hiding from the monsters is one thing, but this is something that people are going to want someone to blame for. Which of course is setting up that potential skirmish that I think we are going to see in terms of how they handle this murder investigation, and more importantly, what they choose to do to Fatima as a result, as I do get the feeling they will most likely discover that it was Fatima who did this. And based on Donna making her stance pretty clear in last week's episode, I wouldn't be surprised if her and Boyd do start to clash on how they handle Fatima. And with Officer Acosta also throwing her hat into the mix, there certainly has all of the makings to cause a pretty big rift within Fromville, especially with all the pent-up animosity that Acosta and Boyd already hold for one another. But then the trailer ends with a shot of Julie and Ethan standing outside of the ruins, the same ruins Julie and Randall found in the previous episode, which of course just so happens to be the very same place that they were held captive after being taken over by the cicadas, with Julie stating that it feels like something wants her to go inside, and Ethan backing her play up, stating that he will go with her, as we see the 2 of them begin to approach the ruins. And when Randall and Julie did stumble across the ruins in episode 7, both of them seemed to feel some kind of pull, like they were feeling something drawing them towards these ruins. But unfortunately, the trailer ends before we see what exactly happens to Julie when she steps inside. But thankfully, the episode 8 promo stills do give us a little bit of a glimpse of what to potentially expect, as we see a shot of Julie inside the same place where she was being held captive by the cicadas. Not just the ruins, but her actually accessing the actual dungeon. And whatever happens to Julie upon entering, it certainly doesn't seem very pleasant, as she seems to be in a certain amount of distress in these photos. But then we also see another image of Ethan running to grab Kenny and Acosta. I get the feeling that this is probably happening right around the same time, where Julie steps inside and has some sort of episode, leaving Ethan to go run back to town to find Kenny and Acosta to help Julie. As we also see this other still of Kenny and Acosta helping Julie outside of the ruins. But what exactly is Julie going to be seeing when she is inside this dungeon? Or rather, what will she be hearing? In episode 7, we did get some confirmation from Mari that she still feels like these cicadas are crawling all over her every once in a while, giving us a clear indication of sight, sound, and touch, where Randall is still seeing these cicadas, Mari is still feeling these cicadas, with Julie still hearing the screaming of her being possessed by these cicadas, giving us a clear indication that whatever is going on with Julie, Randall, and Mari, it is certainly not over. Which of course begs the question, just what exactly will their ultimate fate be? But we also get another pretty interesting shot of Julie in the episode 8 stills as well, a shot of her seemingly down inside the caves. And this was a shot that I thought was very interesting, as I'm trying to wonder, is this actually Julie descending down into those caves for some reason? Or could this potentially be some sort of dream or hallucination? At this point, I suppose it could be either or, but it did strike me as a little bit strange to see Julie of all characters down in these caves. And definitely let me know down in the comment section, do you think Julie is actually down in these caves, or could this potentially be a hallucination? But next, it looks like storylines are continuing to converge as we see Victor, Sarah, and Tabitha in the basement of Father Cautry's church, which also just so happens to be the same location where Christopher and Jasper the puppet were originally communicating when Victor happened upon them. In episode 7, we could see how visibly frustrated Victor was becoming at not being able to communicate with this puppet again, and he was hoping that bringing it to Sarah's basement might help, as according to Victor, the basements are for secrets. But I'm getting the feeling that Sarah's basement did not have the desired effect, as we also see a shot of Victor holding Jasper in the street, with Tabitha and Sarah behind him, most likely en route to Father Cautry's basement. Perhaps Victor is hoping that he'll have some better luck at getting Jasper to talk if he brings him back to the original spot where he and Christopher used to communicate. And based on one of the other stills, I get the feeling that something is indeed going to happen in this basement, as we see this shot of Victor looking visibly shaken by whatever he is looking at, with Tabitha seemingly trying to talk him down. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this storyline is going to go, and I'm really glad that we're starting to see some of the main storylines start to converge with one another. Victor and Tabitha are starting to have some scenes together, and we're even seeing Elgin's and Fatima's storyline converge. And with there being only 3 episodes left in Season 3, I get the feeling we are finally going to start seeing some of the bigger twists and turns start to play out. It should also be pretty interesting to see what kind of role Jade is going to play in all this and what his storyline will entail over these last 3 episodes. Will he get closer to discovering some more definitive answers that could help him and the rest of the town escape, or at the very least, learn a little bit more about this place? And what kind of clues will he ultimately end up discovering through the numbers in the bottle tree, if any at all?
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes?
Morons.
Really?
And with Jade sobering up a little bit, will that give him the clarity that he needs to start solving some of these mysteries, including his visions? I've stated in the past that I believe until Jade learns to look at these visions through an objective lens, and not through the lens of fear, he will never be able to solve them. But once Jade does learn to conquer his fears, I get the feeling he's going to become much more effective at solving some of these things. But there we have it, folks, for my Episode 8 trailer breakdown, and as we head into the final 3 episodes in Season 3, I am cautiously optimistic that we are going to get at least some kind of big revelation before the season ends, especially with Episodes 9 and 10 being titled Revelations Part 1 and Part 2. But definitely leave your thoughts and predictions for Episode 8 down in the comment section, and hit that like on your way out if you haven't already, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content, and as always, keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and I will see you on the next one.
Whatever is inside me, it's still there. What if it happens again? I killed someone.
You need help! Help! I need help! Anyone see anything?
Hiding every night from those things. That's one thing. This is something that people are gonna have to blame someone for.
I feel like something wants me to go in here. We can go in together if you want. Ready?
Okay, ding-dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Eyes and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.